Alright, GetLowered, thanks for tuning in to yet another video. We are test riding yet again one of my favorites from last year, the Dark Horse Chief. This one's got the stage 1 in it. It's got some slip-ons. It also has a beefy intake, as you guys can see. Some of the riders were saying there's a few issues with this one. It's got, I guess, I don't know what it is. I remember riding it last year. Maybe I'll be able to, you know, point out those little details, but yeah, just like last year, blacked out components, Dark Horse. You got the 19-inch wheel, the 116, the riding modes. It's a fun bike, it is. And then of course we have the bobber right next to it. I don't know if that has the 116 or it's got the 111. But yeah, I'm taking the 116 out, and then maybe I'll probably get to that Super Chief right over there, and that's pretty much the Heritage. Yeah, you got LEDs all the way around. Pretty good. At least, you know, Indian's doing something right. You got mid controls on this. A little bit more of a drag bar setup. As you guys can see, the bobber over there, it's got the mini apes with the forwards, and it's got the chromed components. Dark Horse, you get the blacked out components. Yeah, I'm looking forward to riding this bike again. And then of course, as you guys can see right over there, we have the Super Chief. So let's go ahead and, I don't know, are we gonna get going or what's gonna happen? It's a good looking bike. It's got a, I believe it's a, what, like a four gallon tank? Is that what that is, if I remember right from last year? Yeah, it's got a 4 gallon tank, a little bit smaller than what you get on most Harleys, but it's a little bit bigger than the, of course, the Fat Bob and the Street Bob. You get a 3.5, so half a gallon, a little bit bigger. Still looks good though. I mean, it's a good looking tank. I like the overall look of it. The styling, like I said, if you guys see my other videos, yeah, I kind of like seeing the strut right over here. It just looks a little bit odd. It's got, I mean, it's a good looking bike. I'm not a huge fan of the Thunderstroke, these big dome heads, but you know, it's a good looking bike. It's got some good performance. Let's go ahead and see if we're ready to take her out for a spin. There we go. Let's see how this thing feels. The other guy was saying there's some issues with it. Let's hope that's not the case. How do I, oh, here we go. We are doing, it's in standard mode. No standard mode. No standard mode. There we go. Let's put it in sport. You know what? Let's put it in standard first. I remember this bike. I remember it too well, so let's put it on standard. Let's go ahead. I know what to expect. Holy crap. Yeah, it looks like the friction zone, I think I remember the other rider was saying that the friction zone was really off. It was really bad. Here, let's kick it back down to standard, just in case. Yeah, the friction zone is way out. Here, let's see if we can get used to it. Alright, anyways, I kicked it back in standard. I'm gonna try to get used to this friction zone. Looks like it needs some adjusting. I mean, the bike already feels aggressive already right now. I mean, just I'm only giving it like 20% throttle, and as you can see, it just wants to go, it wants to pull. So that's something that the other guy was complaining about. He didn't like how responsive the throttle was. You know, if you're having trouble getting used to the throttle, kick it into rain mode. It's going to tone it down. As far as the clutch, yeah, I guess, you know, that's an issue right there in itself. I think it's too tight. If your friction zone is out here, where this was where it seems like it's at, which is at the very edge of your lever, where, you know, it's basically kind of like this, then it means your clutch is really tight. You need to loosen it. So if your friction zone is a little bit closer to the grip, that means it's really loose. So, you know, just a heads up if you guys are having some I mean, if you guys want to fine-tune the bike, that's how you would actually do it. So it looks like we lost half the group back there. I'm not sure what happened. So yeah, I mean, bike feels great. I remember this feeling, of course. You got the 116 on this, blacked out components, like I was just already saying, reading off the brochure. 120 foot-pounds of torque. That's a little bit more than what you get with the 114. I have a lowrider S, of course. 6-speed. You get that beautiful 19-inch wheel in the front. Of course, this has the stage 1 in it. It's got the intake, and it has the slip-ons. It's got a check engine light. I'm not sure why. And as you guys can see down here, it deactivated the rear cylinder. So yeah, I mean, that's Harley's, that's not Harley's, that's Indian's way of managing the temperature. So yeah, I mean, yeah, the clutch is just too tight. As you guys can see, my hands are all the way out there, and that's when you start seeing the friction zone. So I have it on sport mode now. I'm a little hesitant because I remember what happened last year. It's really holy shit, man, I'm telling you, man, this thing kicks. Holy crap. Oh man, that is just, oh, woohoo, this is ridiculous. Yeah, maybe about 5% of throttle, and this thing, it's just it's nuts. Yeah, you need a better seat to have this thing in sport mode. This thing is just this thing's way twitchy, but I mean, it's something you get used to. I like being able to, you know, kick that thing in sport mode whenever I want and just pass somebody else. Look at that, holy crap, I gotta hold on. Yeah, the sport mode is just, it's ludicrous. I might kick it back into standard. Yeah, let's kick it back, let's tone it down. Oh yeah, that feels a lot smoother now. Man, that's the difference of night and day. It's just like last year somebody mentioned, it's like getting 3 different bikes in one. I like it. If you have, you know, if you're riding 2-up and you want a little bit more of a smoother ride, you just kick that in touring mode, and it just tones it down a little bit more, and it makes it a little bit more comfortable for your loved one, for your partner, if you're riding 2-up. That way you guys aren't, you know, bumping helmets at every stoplight when you're getting up and going. So once we get it on the highway, freeway, I think I'm gonna kick this thing in sport mode. And yeah, I mean, that's what I like about this, about the sport modes. I mean, that's what I like about the riding modes. I like being able to switch it up on the fly. I have a Dynojet tune on my Roadster, and for you to kind of load a different tune or, you know, change it up, you have to turn the bike off. This, however, you don't have to do that. You don't have to shut it off. You don't have to wait 10 seconds. Typically, you have to wait 10 to 15 seconds for it to load the different map, and it gives you a different feeling of the bike. So this one, you just push the button, sport mode, and you're set to go. You don't have to turn it off. You don't have to wait for it to load or anything like that. This thing just goes from crazy to crazy fast. And even in standard mode, you can see how I'm kind of, you know, I'm holding on to my dear life. I'm holding on to the handlebars. There's no wall in this seat. There's nothing that kind of holds you in place. You just gotta hold on. So it's a fun bike. It is. Woo. Exhaust is getting hot. As you guys can see, there's a lot of burnt, I don't know, boots, pants, I'm not too sure. I like the intake. It's got a little bit of an industrial look to it. You know, it's got this little ridge, these little, I guess, structural, I think it's cast iron. I'm used to having everything on the right side. It's just, you know, makes the bike look a lot better if you have everything on one side, the pipes, the intake. That way when you're photographing, you know, the bikes, you just have to, you know, put it on the kickstand. Oh shit. Oh man. I gotta focus on what I'm doing. This thing in sport mode, holy shit. Alright, I gotta focus on riding. Man, this thing is really twitchy in sport mode. I'm gonna give myself whiplash if I don't focus on riding. This thing, you just can't get used to the sport mode. I don't know. Hey, if you guys own a Chief, let me know in the comments. I know after, I mean, I'm pretty sure you should be able to get used to the throttle, but man, it's just, oof. This thing wants to go all the time. So it's fun, you know. Like I said, I like being able to put it in the modes. I like being able to. Man, it's an agile bike. The suspension is a lot better than the Scout. We were just on the same route that we went on the Scout, and the suspension is notable. There's a noticeable difference. All right, so suspension is a lot better. The seat, yeah, I mean the seat's all right. It needs, I mean, for a bike like this with this much of torque in sport mode, you do need a wall to kind of hold you in place. It just seems like I'm gonna fly off this thing. We're on the third gear. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm like just maybe 5-10% of the throttle. That's enough. You guys can see it in my head, in the footage. My yeah, I'm bobbing up and down on this bike, but we're gonna keep it on sport mode. I'm gonna try to get used to the throttle, the friction zone, everything. I mean, all these bikes are gonna be different. You guys have to take it easy if you're looking at, you know, demoing these bikes. Put it in standard, get a good feel of the friction zone, get a good feel of the performance of how it rides. You do not want to, you know, get yourself into an accident. So that's what happened with the first guy. I don't know if I mentioned it already. Somebody, you know, dropped the bike about 2 times. They dropped the bike twice, and I believe just for his safety, they just told him, you know what, maybe it's not a good idea for you to ride. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes when that, you know, sort of stuff happens, you get a little bit more hesitant. You get a little, you know, flustered. You get, you know, you're just a little bit at odd ends when you get I don't know. You lose a little bit of confidence. But I mean, the only thing for you to do is to get back on the bike. Yeah, man, that engine sounds good. Look at that, you can hear it. So it's, yeah, the Chieftain, which is the blue one, the Chieftain and the Chief, they have the same powertrain. It's a 116. I believe that's the 116 on that one as well. So I really enjoyed that bike last year. It's one of the highlights. I really enjoyed the Thunderstroke on the Indians. I really did enjoy it. So we'll check in a bit. Alright, so yeah, it's a pretty good ride. Little minor things here and there. Yeah, man, that friction zone all the way out there. Clutch is a little bit too tight. Still can't get used to the throttle. Even in sport mode, so I'm gonna kick it. Oh shit. I'm gonna kick it down to standard. Yeah, this thing is just ludicrous. Ridiculous. all this thing, yeah, I really like the bike. The styling's pretty good. You know, the colors, you know, the only thing I wish it had is the 5-gallon tank. I think I would have really liked seeing a 5-gallon tank on this thing. But man, you know what, she sounds good. Air-cooled V-twin, classic feel, classic sound, everything, you know. It's a nice bike. So let's get ready to rumble. Oh, put this down here. Neutral. There we go. Put the kickstand down. These guys are really close to me. This guy's gonna. Alright, so there it is. Yeah, I mean, the bike feels good. Alright, it's a good feeling bike. Let's see what's next. Maybe I'll take out one of these other bikes.